Number 3. Parting the Red Sea. The story of the Israelites and their escape from captivity in Egypt continues in Exodus chapter 14, after the 10th plague finally convinces the Pharaoh to let them leave. Shortly after they do, Pharaoh changes his mind, summoning his 600 best chariots and marching his army in pursuit. In short order, Pharaoh's army corners the Israelites at Pi-hahiroth, trapping them between mountains on one side and the Red Sea on the other. In this dire situation, God speaks to Moses, telling him, "Lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea." After he does, a strong east wind blows all night, parting the waters. So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. Realizing that the Israelites were escaping, the Egyptian army sets off in pursuit. But when the Israelites reach the other side, God commands Moses to reach out his hand again. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. While the story of the parting of the Red Sea is certainly one of the Bible's most dramatic tales, it was long considered one of its most impossible. That is, until 2010, when a scientist from the National Center for Atmospheric Research at the University of Colorado named Carl Drews began using computer modeling to explore the potential for a phenomenon called wind set-down to have taken place in ancient Egypt. Wind set-down is a phenomenon in which strong winds blow the water in a lake or sea to one side, effectively parting the waters and leaving dry land in its place for a short time. As Drews described, the parting of the waters can be understood through fluid dynamics. The wind moves the water in a way that's in accordance with physical laws, creating a safe passage with water on two sides, and then abruptly allowing the water to rush back in. Drews believed that wind set-down could have taken place in ancient Egypt, creating a pathway of dry land which the Israelites could have crossed during their exodus, before the water suddenly rushed back in and closed their path. In order to explore his theory, Drews studied ancient geography to construct likely locations, then used computer simulations to recreate the conditions which may have resulted in wind set-down. Nearly the first thing he did was rule out the Red Sea as a potential location, both because it runs from north to south, which doesn't fit with the biblical description of wind from the east sweeping water to one side, and because at 190 miles wide and an average of 1,640 feet deep, that's a lot of water to move and a long way for the Israelites to go if it had. However, Drews' computer simulation did find a location in the area where wind set-down could have taken place at around 1250 BCE, when the story of Exodus was said to have happened, a body of water known in modern times as Lake Tanis. There, Drews found that steady 63-mile-per-hour winds from the east would have pushed the waters of Lake Tanis back to its western shores and created a land bridge which would remain dry for hours. Amazing as the finding was, one might wonder what it had to do with the biblical story of Exodus, in which Moses and the Israelites were said to have crossed the Red Sea, not Lake Tanis. Well, according to scholars, it was not actually the Red Sea which Moses and the Israelites crossed. In the original Hebrew text, the body of water which is crossed is not called the Red Sea, but the Sea of Reeds. A mistranslation happened when the text was first translated into Greek in the 3rd century BCE, with the Sea of Reeds becoming the Red Sea in Greek, and all future translations. For Drews, this was the key which brought together all the pieces of the puzzle. In 1250 BCE, Lake Tanis was, according to Drews, a shallow brackish lagoon, which provided the perfect habitat for the growth of papyrus reeds. Once again, it seemed that an astonishing biblical event could be explained by a natural phenomenon. Perhaps wind set-down did truly randomly take place as the Israelites were fleeing Egypt, allowing them to cross the Sea of Reeds to safety. But either way, there is no doubt it could have happened.